Hello and welcome to The Rightest Leftist with Nathan Ogilvie, the podcast for the politically homeless. Today we're sponsored by Commonwealth Bank Australia. That is a joke, and you're about to find out why, because they're the subject of today's discussion. So I just saw this article and I couldn't go past bringing it to everyone's attention because in my own personal work, as a psychologist and as a teacher at the universities, AI has just changed the way we do things and is continually changing the world and the world of work. And I try to, if you've watched any of my videos, see the good and bad in things and try and weigh things up. But I'm getting much more on the doomer side of AI and how it's just going to decimate the job market. I'm starting to call it the Jobpocalypse, that if we don't put regulations in and if the government doesn't take it seriously, big businesses are just going to decimate jobs. It was part of the reason for the job cuts with the ANZ video that I previously did. And if you look at this heading from this Yahoo article, Yahoo is still a thing, apparently. Commonwealth Bank worker confronts CEO Matt Coman after she trained her AI replacement. And then the quote from Matt Coman, "We made a mistake." So this worker, Kathryn Sullivan, spent years, she was close to retirement, but still wanted to keep her job, but was made redundant after training AI to essentially do her job as a chatbot. So there's Kathryn and the CEO, Matt. And so basically the story is that Kathryn was one of the workers who trained. So there was 45 workers that got made redundant earlier in the year after they were unknowingly actually training the bot that ended up replacing them. And so she described that moment as devastating. And there's the Commonwealth Bank had their annual general meeting. So any publicly traded company, so it's a company with a share price that has shareholders, they have a meeting. And she questioned the bosses in that forum, and the chairman, so that's Paul O'Malley, we were going to have a look at, admitted that they'd made a mistake in how they handled the situation. And so CEO Matt Coman, if you saw maybe in the thumbnail, is on a salary of $9.5 million a year. His statement, as you can see here, "It's incumbent upon us, as it should be, to engage appropriately, determine whether any roles will be impacted." The bank was ultimately forced to re-engage with staff, and then a process Coman labelled unnecessarily challenging. And the way we engage employees, how we think about that over time, how we try to develop, retain as many of those skills as we can is really important. And that's certainly a priority for us moving forward. I love this CEO corporate talk. It must be one of the reasons they get to that level, because they just know how to talk out of both sides of their mouth and essentially really say nothing. But we have to take this really seriously, because I'm seeing it just in the work. I'm working with individuals who either have lost their jobs or in the process of losing their jobs, almost in some ways indirectly, but also directly due to AI, where their job is just being replaced. And we have to remember, so the criticism I've been getting from more business-minded people when I've been starting to do these sort of videos is, well, businesses are allowed to make people redundant. That's part of the process. Yes, it is. But the laws around redundancy and things like that are very clear that a job has to actually be redundant and not just done by somebody else. And that's where there's a big gray area here with AI, that if someone is doing a job like this, or they're replacing themselves with an AI chatbot, for example, it's kind of a digital offshoring, because offshoring is another huge problem that I think big businesses are getting away with. So many of the bigger businesses like Telstra and all the banks are just offshoring jobs to other countries, and workers are getting made redundant here, which I just think the government should just clamp down on. Because that's the thing, right? If you're more of a right-wing type person, more of a pro-business person, those people, again, generalization, but most of them are also, Australia first. We want good jobs in Australia. We want everyday Aussies to do well. You don't want people to be at home unemployed. But what are people supposed to do if a bank just fires 10% of their workforce due to AI? Those people are going to have to look for other jobs. And then individual jobs that come up, if all businesses are decimating jobs due to AI, there's going to be hundreds and thousands of people applying for those jobs, and not everyone is going to get a different job. So that's where you get into this problem of, well, we don't want, and then the Liberal parties have already said it. Susan Ley said it a few weeks ago, that they're going to, if they get back in, they're going to cut back entitlements and welfare. So it's like, so what are those people supposed to do? This all happened in the Industrial Revolution hundreds of years ago, when factories and machines started replacing workers in factories. There was huge riots and uprisings because of that. Because it's like, what do you want working everyday people to do if a big business is just going to come in and decimate the jobs? And then look, Matt Common's not taking a pay cut. He's still on his $9.5 million a year. And so I just don't hear the answer to that from the pro-business people. It's like, all right, you can advance technology with AI, and that might make some people redundant. But the way it's going is these businesses are decimating huge numbers of jobs. And this is where I think I'm going to do a longer series on it, because I think there's a lot more to say. But I think this is where the government needs to come in. And because I hear it on the other hand, a lot of people say that I'm over-exaggerating the dooming nature of it, or that I'm too catastrophizing, it's too negative, that AI is just going to sort of be more of a tool or an enhancement for our jobs and is going to make our jobs easier. But in real time, with real businesses and real people, AI is affecting jobs. And look, in this case, the bank backtracked and did the right thing. And that's largely because Paul O'Malley here, he's the chairman. Now I'm not going to be able to grab his picture and drag him down. There he is. Paul O'Malley, at least they felt enough shame to do the right thing. But when you've got, like in the ANZ Bank, and Mattoses, who seem to be a different level of corporate psycho and don't feel any shame at all, and are just going to decimate the jobs, and then the government's going to have to play catch up. I'm really worried. I don't know what's going to happen. I know this is worldwide, but in Australia, let's just stay to Australia in particular. If companies are just going to cut thousands of jobs, and a lot of the Australian tech companies like Atlassian and Canva are doing it too, can someone answer to me, what are those people supposed to do? It's like, find another job. Okay, well, what happens when you have thousands and thousands of people out of work and the job's drying up? And this is something that I do think, again, the Labor Party, don't have to show you Anthony Albanese again, but the Labor Party that's for the worker, for everyday Aussies, I hear next to crickets. Like, I hear they talk about some concern for AI and that we want it to be used in a responsible way. So they do the boring centrist argument on AI. But I really do not hear a solution here. I'm going to, again, in another video, go in a bit more in depth, because I do think in Europe, they've got they're bringing in a lot of AI protections that seem to be really promising. And again, do kind of what they're supposed to do, is that protecting workers and jobs, as well as helping businesses become more profitable, where certainly you can bring in AI and make it more efficient and make businesses save money. Again, I'm a business owner. I'm all about that. I use AI in my own practice. I haven't fired anyone because of it, because I'm just a individual sole trader and it's just me and my business. But it's certainly made my business a lot easier, and then I can focus more on the things that are more profitable to my business, and it can really help. So again, I'm not anti-AI, but I'm just really worried that I think the government, and I don't know the reason, but in Australia are really behind the times, because this technology is developing and shifting rapidly, and big businesses are already starting to, the mass layoffs are coming. They're not there yet. And in this case, Commonwealth Bank ended up doing the right thing, publicly shamed into it. But if we have to use publicly shaming as a tool, then I'm not beyond that. That's not below me. And I will keep my eye on the advances in AI and business, because again, definitely great advantages and efficiency on the way, but we can't have that at the expense of everyday Aussies, because I don't want to envision an Australia where we have thousands of people losing their jobs, and then unemployment and welfare benefits getting cut. That's a recipe for disaster. This is The Rightest Leftist. My name is Nathan Ogilvie. It's the podcast for the politically homeless, and let's talk again very soon.